came in, every pirate crew that came in there, right? Not a lot of pirates enter the Grand Line because it's so difficult. So let's say 1,000 people try, probably only 10 actually get in. So you'd meet with everyone that comes in there, but there's a town in there. Maybe it's not a normal town, maybe it's like that organization, but they talked about it like it was a town, like it was like a regular town. So I wonder if there are like towns and stuff in the Grand Line, and how did they get there? And I think there's so much potential for this world to grow. I can't wait for it all. Okay, it's time for the review. Episode 61, Angry Finale, Cross the Red Line. I'm going to admit, as much as I do enjoy filler stories, I do think that it kind of makes me feel conflicted. Things I want to say about the characters can't really be said because it's not canon. It never happened in the manga, so it can't point to anything about them or their development. In fact, it can just kind of confuse me or my feelings towards them, I think. Just a little, and I'm sure it'll blow over soon enough. One thing that bothers me a lot is that they added 2 devil fruit users in this small side story. It makes it seem like the devil fruit aren't rare at all, and every other person could get one. I've never come across a story with something like devil fruit. So, to be quite honest, I personally feel it was not the best idea to use such an important and unique motif in a filler story. But nonetheless, I still very much enjoyed Appice's character, although I think they could have found a way to tell the same story without making her a devil fruit user too. So I hope you guys understand what I'm saying there. If you want me to elaborate on it, please tell me in the comments. I really loved Appice's little speech about what she learned from Luffy and them. In a way, I feel like she's voicing our own thoughts too. Up to this point, I feel like many people would have been inspired by Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, Nami, and Sanji. Inspired by their thoughts and their actions and their determination after everything they've been through. You know, we relate to these characters. And just like many people keep reminding me, this is only the tip of the iceberg. But Appice's little self-reflection at the end encourages us to do our own self-reflection at this point. Like after 63 episodes with these characters, how have they inspired you? What have you learned from them? And then this is a little quote from Appice. If you truly believe in your goal and fight to the end, you can accomplish anything. So that's what she learned from Luffy and them. This is just a fun scene that I wanted to remember. Luffy's excitement is infectious. I love the scene, and then afterwards where he did the same thing to Zoro was really hilarious. It was like, Sanji! And then Sanji kicks him in the face. And then he's like, Zoro! It was so funny. I think the following is important to remember. It's just important for me to see these kinds of, or to remember these kinds of images, because I like piecing together the world, you know? I like thinking, okay, they came from this side or they came from here, and this is the Grand Line, and then those two are that's the calm belt, and then those 4, that's where you enter the Grand Line. So you always come out at the same place. Oh, imagine if 2 ships went in at the exact same time, or they came around the corner at the exact same time. Imagine they crashed. I wonder if that's ever happened. But yeah, so it's really cool to save these kinds of pictures, because it helps me. It's like a puzzle that I'm putting together in my mind. Anyway, I love how well thought out and creative this whole world is. Not just the notes didn't refer to the whole world. It specifically referred to this whole entrance to the Grand Line. But actually it's this whole world. Since Reverse Mountain is a winter island, the currents that collide with the Red Line travels down towards the ocean floor. Note, cold water hitting warm water is forced downward. It's the same with air, right? Warm air goes up, cold air goes down. A couple of words on Nami. I like how she wears different clothes all the time. In this episode, she wore this really cute pink coat that I really want now. It really highlights her girliness, and also I like that it shows she's not too stingy with her money, at least not when it comes to things for herself. In other words, she doesn't just hoard money or is greedy, so that's kind of something that I like about her. She's also willing to spend her money, and I can relate to that because I like buying clothes too and wearing different outfits. Secondly, this episode really showcased how invaluable she is to the crew. She really is very smart, and they often ask, Nami, what should we do? So I really enjoyed that. You can see me, I'm really trying to point out her positives, but I'm also going to share like my negatives, and it's not just with Nami, it will be with any other character. What I don't enjoy is when she hits Luffy, especially like in this episode when she hit him after he just had like a vicious fight with Erik. And it happened in some of the other episodes too. I know people will say it's just a joke, but it's still part of her character because it seems to be a recurring gag, and I just don't enjoy that part of her character, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, every now and then these idiots need a bop on the head, but it's happened in unnecessary moments one too many times for my taste, you know. It puts me off her a bit, because you guys may see it as a joke, and that's fine, but for me it's still part of her character, and it's one of the things that put me off, so I'm always gonna be honest about that. In this episode, the word bara was used twice. I was confused about the meaning, but Tatsumi, one of my patrons, shared this really helpful link. So it's actually a really cute little website, and it explains Japanese mimetic words. Today's Japanese mimetic word is bara. This word has many meanings and is used very frequently in everyday conversation. So it can mean like a ton of things. One meaning is scattered. So the toys lay scattered about. Omacha ga bara ni chirabateta. Another meaning is break, tear, rip apart. Kutsu o bara ni shita. Inu ga kutsu. I missed that part. Inu ga kutsu o bara ni shita. The dog ripped up the shoes. Separate or break up. For example, kazoku ga bara ni nata. The family separated. Kazoku ga bara ni nata. How do you say Japanese? Like, it's so fast. They speak so fast. I can't do it. Anyway, so yeah, it has a lot of meanings, and they even reference on this website. They reference One Piece because he's a splitting man. Bara fruit. Okay. Episode 62. The first obstacle. Giant whale laboon appears. While everyone was enjoying their entry to the Grand Line, it really looked like a fun water park ride. Zoro was the first one to pick up on the strange noise, which we later find out is Laboon, the whale. This isn't the first time Zoro picks up on something early. He was also the first one to notice that the boat had not moved in a while after they entered the calm belt. He may not be as excitable as the others, but I think this quality has its benefits. And then this is just a really great expression from Luffy. I'm gonna save a lot of my favorite expressions from One Piece because One Piece really has some great expressions. It's really hard to explain, but after the going merry and everyone on board got swallowed by Laboon, my heart really hurt for Luffy, especially while editing. I really noticed this. I think he was genuinely scared for them, and when he was on top of Laboon, kicking and punching him, for some reason the animation and voice acting really got to me. I feel it was the most hopeless I've ever felt Luffy was. Something about his body language and voice just gave me that feeling. And then, of course, this just really cemented that feeling. This whole expression, what he was saying, it really has... One Piece really has some of the best expressions I've ever seen in any anime. And something about how it was animated, like, he was like kicking Laboon, the way it was... I don't know, go rewatch it and just... There's something special about his body language and his actions and his voice there. I don't know what it was, but it got to me. Fun fact, the part where Zoro introduces himself and Crocus trolls him, I watched like 6 more times over and over while editing. It still makes me laugh because Crocus was like, well, first Zoro was like, who are you? And then Crocus was like, well, you're supposed to introduce yourself first when you ask someone's name. And then Zoro was like, wari, like, sorry about that. My name is Roronoa. I am Crocus, blah, 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 blah. I still laugh when I think about that because he's so like, wari. And he's so, you know, he's so sincere. He's like, I am Roronoa Zoro. And then he's like, I am Crocus. goes, fuck it. I love that. It's so funny. One thing that Sanji said bothered me a bit. Not necessarily negatively, or maybe a little bit negatively. Let me explain. So you can see, like, I'm typing my notes really as if I'm just speaking to you. Sanji said, well, the whaling business doesn't bother me. And I guess that did bother me because I've been taught that whaling is a very bad thing. Whaling is the hunting of whales for their usable products such as meat and blubber, which can be turned into a type of oil, which became increasingly important in the Industrial Revolution. So I didn't even know that. I didn't even know, like, their oil can be used for their blubber can be used to make oil, something about industrial. I didn't know that stuff. All I knew and I was raised to know was, whaling is bad. Hunting and killing whales are bad because they're an endangered species and So my experience with the word made me feel like, oh, you don't care about whaling? That little SJW inside of me was like, I was joking, I'm not an SJW, but I'm sure we all have a little bit of every kind of something in us, even if we don't want to admit it. So what was I saying? But in the One Piece world, whaling may not be any different than cowing or pigging. I know these aren't real words, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm not judging Sanji at all. I'm just saying I was a bit bothered when I heard it at first because of the negative connotations attached to whaling in our world. And now, considering we heard Laboon's backstory and everything, it does kind of suck that whaling is considered normal in this world. Or so it seems. This world referring to the One Piece world. Sanji is a chef, so it's not like he's going to feel about an animal the same way I feel about an animal. And I don't expect him to. I guess I'm just wondering if all animals in this... Oh, wait! And then I thought of something while I was typing. As I was typing, I just remembered. They said Laboon was a whale with the heart of a human, or something like that. So I guess that was kind of to justify the things I was just questioning. I was wondering if Laboon had a backstory and feelings. Doesn't all animals in this world have that kind of emotional intelligence? So, like, if they made us feel bad for Laboon, then every other time that an animal, gets eaten in One Piece, I'm gonna feel like, but Laboon has a backstory and he had Nakama. What if that cow had Nakama? But I think they justified that by making us, they emphasized that Laboon is a whale with the heart of a human, or that something. So I was questioning, like, is it okay to portray some of them being eaten, some animals, and yet this whale is named and shown to have feelings? But it makes sense in light of them differentiating Laboon as a special whale. Okay, moral dilemma subverted. That really has nothing to do with anything. It was just like, I'm trying to make sense of, the world that Oda created. Like, to Oda, what kind of beliefs are important? To Oda, what are animals in his world? Like, what did he, the animal kingdom, how does he see them? Like, because even with Gaimon, for example, Gaimon saw the animals as his Nakaman and stuff like that. So it's just, stuff like this stand out to me, and I say, oh, it has nothing to do with anything. But it has. Like, when a writer creates a world, a good writer will consider everything. Even things like, whaling and what is that like in this world, and what are our moral beliefs around it, and eating meat and being friends with animals, and like all the stuff. I'm sure a writer as good as Oda considered it, and he's, I don't know. I find it interesting. And someone did send me, like, Japan has different beliefs about whaling and stuff, but this is a different world, and whales probably aren't endangered in One Piece, in the One Piece world. So I just found it interesting to talk about, but now we move on. This is me. I made this because that's me, and when I saw her, that was me, okay? I really like Miss Wednesday. It's more so her character design and her voice actress at this point, but so far I'm looking forward to seeing more from her. Note, Laboon has been waiting for 50 years for those pirates to return. Later we find out it's more likely that they died in the Grand Line or ran away, but we're not sure of anything just yet. I think the pirates he came with to the Grand Line were most likely from West Blue, because he's a whale from West Blue, so obviously they were pirates that came from West Blue, right? Okay, we're already at the notes for episode 63, so I feel like we're going through these quite fast, but it's important to do that because I have something at the end that's gonna take some time. Okay, episode 63, A Man's Promise. Luffy and the whale vow to meet again. I really love Usopp's childlike innocence / hope. While the others most likely were facing reality, contemplating that Laboon's pirates, I don't know what they're called, were dead by now, Usopp was still clinging to the hope that they might still come back for Laboon. I'm quite curious to know why so much time was spent on Laboon and his backstory. Now that I think about it, it has to be for some important reason that may come to light in the future. At this point, if someone had told me this was filler, I would have believed them. But since I know it's not, it makes me think that it's very important to remember the details of the story for the future. I mean, obviously Luffy is going to come back and challenge Laboon again. But there has to be more than that. Will we meet those pirates in the future? Will Crocus play an important role later? Or was this just a meeting point for Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine? They did leave with them after all, but that doesn't seem so likely. That it was just a meeting point for them, I mean. Since they took so much time to flesh out Crocus, his character, and Laboon's backstory. Note, the islands of the Grand Line are abundant with minerals, causing abnormal magnetic fields along the entire line. What's more, the winds and currents here are completely unstable. So that's just a quote from Crocus, and I think it's important for me to just remember this about what makes the Grand Line so difficult to maneuver in. Up-to-date favorites list. So this is a screenshot from my lists. You can go here, click here for lists, and then it takes you to all my up-to-date lists. Right now, my up-to-date favorites list for supporting characters, I put Crocus here underneath Smoker because he was so funny. And then up-to-date best to worst villains list is now Miss Wednesday is now 3rd. I really like her. By the way, I added Crocus to my favorite supporting characters list. He's so fun. And for now, I put Miss Wednesday on my best to worst villains list. Best to worst villains list. Because so far, she seems to be a little villainous. Like, she tried to kill the whale. And, you know, she seems like a kind of Team Rocket Jessie type. I honestly have no idea how my best to worst villains list even works. It's kind of like the most interesting villains, whether they're interesting for good or bad reasons doesn't really matter. So the list is kind of odd. You can see all my up-to-date One Piece lists here. So, for example, if I just quickly click on it, here, best to worst villains list, Django, Buggy, and Mist Wednesday, and Alvida are my top 4 favorite villains. Like, I kind of like them, actually. But then Arlong is 5th, but I don't like him at all. Like, I hate him. Like, I would put him at 0. Like, he's the worst villain. But he's also actually a great villain for the story. Like, as a character, he's great, but I don't like him, you know? Whereas with Django, Buggy, and Miss Wednesday and Alvida, I like them for various reasons. Like, they're funny, or their character designs, or whatever. But Arlong is still 5th because he's still interesting and a great character for different reasons. So yeah, my best to worst villains, this is a bit weird. I don't really understand it entirely. I guess it has to do with how memorable they are, how interesting, or are they even, like, Hachi and Chu are interesting designs. And so they got on, but that other guy, Kurobi, I didn't put him on because he's not worth remembering. He's not interesting. He's not very evil. Like, it was like, meh. So he's not on the list. Just wanted to explain that because I wasn't even sure how that list works. Okay. This looks like it could be the premise of a really fun game. So this is the picture, and it says, you must first choose one of the 7 magnetic fields emanating from Reverse Mountain. So you have to choose one of those 7 or starting points, and then you go from there. So it's really cool, and then you use the log post thingy. Imagine making your own character and traveling with Luffy and his crew. You get to choose where you start and go through like 7 different storylines or story modes, all with the same end or something like that. I think it would be really fun. I don't know if a game like that exists, but if it doesn't, they should do it because I would buy it and play it. But then I want to make my own pirate character. Oh, by the way, I worked on some designs for my character that I talked to you guys about last time. I don't have it with me right now. Maybe if I remember, these are just ideas, and they're not I need to remember to edit them in now. Put it here, Katie. These are just like some of my ideas, and I used a thingy to make them. So I didn't draw these. They're on PicCrew. So if I remember, I'll have to put the link for that in my description, because there's like tons of different like templates that you can use to make different characters and stuff, or your own little avatars or whatever. Obviously you just can't use them for commercial reasons. I'm sure there's probably some copyright or whatever, but I think it's okay if I like say, well, I made them there, and it's just to get an idea of what I want my character to look like. So yeah, what do you guys think? Okay, regardless of which island you choose to start from, your route will eventually join with the others into one final route. The red line goes through all of these at some point. So they all go forwards, and then the red line is up there. So then you have to cross the red line and keep going. See, I should have screenshot it. Now I didn't screenshot it. Now I can't see. But anyway, and the name of the island at the end of the route is Raftel. I just wanted to give an example of the kind of kick or punch comedy I think is actually funny. When Luffy and Sanji's antics ended up breaking the log posts, Nami got mad and kicked them, and that was really funny. I did laugh at that because they totally deserved it since they really messed up, and the whole scene was just funny. So it's not that I dislike comedy like that. It's just that I feel like sometimes it's really unnecessary, and it's like almost used too much. But I get that that's her character and it's supposed to be funny. I'm just kind of saying it's not funny for me, but it's not never funny. So I'm just explaining my feelings about this. Okay. These two look kind of cute together, I'm not gonna lie. So when I was editing and I saw them, this picture, I was like, oh my gosh, I ship it. So I really actually kind of I like them. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, when I reached the end of the episode during editing, I saw something that I forgot about earlier. Crocus said, they might be the pirates we've been waiting for all this time. We've been waiting for? Who is we? That man had a mysterious air about him, he said, talking about Luffy. Don't you think so? Roger. Dun dun dun. Earlier, I was wondering why they were spending so much time developing their backstory, Laboon and to some extent Crocus. Crocus's final words could be hinting at whatever that reason may be. I don't know enough to make any informed guesses at this point, but I'm looking forward to finding out more. All I know is like Crocus has been there for 50 years with Laboon. Before that, maybe he was there for longer, but he also said that he did travel as a doctor on a ship, so he did that too. But Gold Roger, he was there he was killed 20 years ago. So if Crocus was there for 50 years, before that we don't know what he did. Well, we know that he was a ship doctor at some point. And so they were there for 30 years by the time Roger died. And I don't think they ever mentioned how old Roger was when he died. So like my brain can't put the stuff in a good timeline. I should make a timeline. I will at some point, because otherwise I could get confused. But yeah, I don't know anything to make a good guess at this point, but it's just interesting. He definitely knows Roger, and he has to know him quite well, because why would he like talk to him, and why would he say this might be the pirate we've been waiting for? What? Anyway, last but not least, I promised my patrons that I would do my first rating of One Piece based on what I have seen thus far. So, for those of you that don't know, I should probably post this. Just give me a sec. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I use AniList. It's my favorite platform. I really love like the user interface, how it looks, everything. I really love AniList. Not sponsored. I just really like the website. And it helps me keep track of everything that I'm watching, because I am watching quite a few anime. So this organizes it in my mind and keeps the stories so that I can follow them properly. Anyway, so yeah, I have advanced scores open. Usually you can just score like, oh, this is an X out of 10 anime. You can also use a star system, and then there's an out of 5 system, I think. But you also have these advanced scores. So I really like advanced scores because I can differentiate a 9 from a 9.2. Like I actually have anime like that. For example, Violet Evergarden is a 10. Nana is a 9.6 because the end was absolute shit. Because there's reasons. Darling in the Franxx was a 9. Eureka 7AO was an 8.8. Paradise Kiss 8.8. Eureka 7 8.6. It's rare that a spin-off is better, but it really was for me, except for some characters, but the story. Anyway, let's not talk about other anime. But yeah, I really like differentiating. I like making that point system. I like it. Anyway, what am I talking about? Where was I? Here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna rate the story out of 10, the characters out of 10, the visuals out of 10, the audio out of 10, my enjoyment out of 10. A lot of people said I shouldn't rate it. Other people said I should wait longer to rate it. So I'll probably rate it like every 60 to 100 episodes, and it will be fun to see, you know, like we can look back on, I rated it at episode 61, and then let's say I rated it at episode 120, and then we can look at my differences, you know, if it's improved, if it's gotten worse or whatever. So this story is an absolute 10 for me. I'm not even gonna joke. Like, there's no plot holes. If something is said, I can know it's gonna be relevant later. I've seen that in such small ways. I already know it's gonna pay off in big ways too. I hope that makes sense. I resonate with the story since the very first episode. I knew it was gonna be like when Luffy said, and I've said this 100 times, it's not about possible or impossible. It's what I want to do. Just that kind of theme is carried out through the anime, and I really relate to that. And it's if you look at all the backstories of the characters, some of my favorites is Sanji's backstory, loved. Nami's backstory, bringing all these characters together. The Syrup Village arc was one of my favorites. Actually, it was a lot of fun. I think it's also because I like Usopp so much, and he's such a fun character. So yeah, I can find no reason to take points away from the stories. So it's a 10. Characters out of 10. Well, there's Zoro. I guess, what would I give the characters? I wanted to do this live, and I knew it was going to take some time, but then you guys can see me put together my thoughts and figure things out and figure out my score. I thought it would be interesting for you to see, so that's why I didn't do this while doing my notes. I wanted you to see me think about it. So, characters. Luffy is one of my favorite characters ever. Same with Zoro. I really love Sanji. I really love Usopp. Nami is very interesting, complex, well written, great backstory. Nojiko is one of my, these are all such standout characters that I'm gonna remember these a year from now, you know? That's usually when I add a character on my favorites list, is when I resonate with them and when I know I'm gonna remember them regardless of how many other anime I'm going to watch. So the characters are given a lot of depth, but I guess the only thing I could take points away from is that some are so good and then they're not given enough depth. Like Nojiko. I wish she had more time. We should have learned more from Nojiko. But damn, how can it feels like I can't not give it a 10, but I'm gonna give it a 9. Okay, a 9 for now. Even though I can't think of a reason, the only thing that could be negative about it is there's so many characters that you kind of want some of them to come along and they can't. And that is the only drawback of having so many good characters, you know? So it's kind of like, it's a critique, but not really a negative critique. But it's the only thing I can think of, like, that's why I'm not going to give it a 10, because it makes me sad to go through so many great characters and then there they go, never to be seen again. Well, not never. We saw Gaimon again. I wasn't expecting to see Gaimon again. So I'm sure, like, and people have said, like, the characters will pop up again, I know. But anyway, visuals out of 10. The animation itself is amazing. The style is older, obviously, but that adds to the charm of One Piece for me. The expressions are phenomenal. I like that it can get pretty dark. They're not shy to show it when a character is bleeding and stuff. Sanji's moves, Zoro's moves, like everything. I love the animation. I love the visuals. It's very unique as well. Like when you see a character, you can tell that character's from One Piece, even if you don't know them. And yes, I have seen some characters that are from One Piece, and like I just love that I can tell which characters are from One Piece even without knowing the characters, you know. But I don't think, personally, I don't think knowing what a character looks like counts as a spoiler. Like that doesn't change the plot at all. So it's like before starting One Piece, I knew what Luffy looked like. I knew who else? I think I knew Sanji. I didn't know Zoro, and I knew Usopp. I remember I knew Usopp. So, visuals 10. Audio out of 10. Voice acting, brilliant. Voice acting is 10 out of 10. The opening songs are just, they're old. So many notifications coming through, sorry. I guess that would be my only critique at this point, and it's not fair to critique it. Oh, the opening song isn't my favorite because it's old. Like, it's not the fairest critique, because it was, I mean, this was in what, 1990 whatever. So it's not fair, but I think that's the only thing why I wouldn't give the audio like a 10 out of 10. But the voice acting, fucking amazing. Awesome. So, and the in-between songs, like dun 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 dun, like that's great. I love that. So I think it actually, considering that I like that, which is also kind of old, it's like you can consider that older too. If I like that, then it's fair to say like I don't really like the opening, because there's older openings that I like. I guess that would be like, the opening song isn't bad. It's fun to listen to and it's fun to watch. Like I did that one reaction of the first opening. I know there's a second opening now. I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it yet. But I guess, so yeah, the first opening is just not one of my favorite anime openings ever. So I'm gonna make it 9, because I can't give it less than 9 because of the voice acting. And yeah, because of the voice acting, because it has to be a 9 because of that. Okay. Enjoyment out of 10, easy 10. Easy 10, because I'm so excited for each episode. I'm actually able to watch 4 or more episodes a week. I can't do that for a lot of anime. I would get like, I like processing and giving myself time to like be excited for the next episodes. Like I don't feel like, even though I'm watching 4 or 5 a week, I don't feel like I'm rushing it. So that means like I must be really enjoying it, right? Not that I don't enjoy anime that I just watch 1 per week. Like I don't like watching Attack on Titan more than 1 per week, for example. Like it gets too much for me. But yeah, enjoyment 10 out of 10, because I'm always excited to watch. I'm always happy when I watch it. And I'm the kind of person that really appreciates a good story, and this is a great story. So can't give it less than a 10. So let's see. Story, let's quickly do this. So overall score, 9.6, which isn't bad. So out of the anime that I'm currently watching, where is it ranked? Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2, 10. Welcome to the Ballroom, 10. Demon Slayer, 9.6. One Piece, 9.6. Drifters, 9. Okay, so that's where it is right now. It is in 4th place. Well, technically it's sharing 3rd place with Demon Slayer. And if I had to choose between Demon Slayer and One Piece, which one do I think is better? I'm going to say One Piece because it has more. It has more. Like, there's more episodes. There's more time for me. Like, I hate knowing that an anime is going to end. And then what? they're gone. These characters I'm gonna be watching One Piece for the next 3 years. You know how happy that makes me? Very, very, very fucking happy. So I would say One Piece right now is the third best anime that I'm currently watching. It's sharing third place technically with Demon Slayer in terms of score, but I would give it third place, yeah. Underneath Attack on Titan and underneath Welcome to the Ballroom. So that's it from me. Let me know your score, or can you remember what you would have scored One Piece at this point? Like, how did you feel about One Piece at this point? And like Appies, what have you learned from these characters? And try and answer from the perspective of, you just watched almost 60 episodes with me, right? So at this point, what have we learned from Luffy and them? For me, I feel like I have made friends, and that's what's great, because the things that they're teaching us, these are things that I really believe. I believe in fighting for your dream. I believe that if you keep fighting, you don't give up, you will make it. That kind of affirmation that Luffy does, I believe in that. So I don't necessarily, at this point, I don't feel like I've learned anything new from these characters, but I feel like I've kind of come home to these characters. Wow, these are, how do I say that? I've come home to them. You must think I'm so weird, but it feels like my life has led up to this point, and this anime is showing me because I've been trying to, how do I convince myself of the new things I wanted to believe about myself and about my life. When you grow up, you're raised with, and your parents implant their beliefs into you, and at some point you have to self-reflect so that you kind of unpack your beliefs and ask yourself, what have I been taught to believe? What do I really believe? And you can replace old beliefs with new ones. If you've been taught to believe you can't do math, you can tell yourself you can. If that's what you want to do. It's when people, your parents have always told you, oh, I don't want to say this because it'll sound so much meaner than it is. But I used to be a really cheeky kid. And my parents would always tell me, you're never going to get friends because you're such a mean person. I don't even remember why they told this to me. Thinking back about it now, I'm why did they used to say that to me? But I remember clearly that kind of thing being you're never going to make any friends like this. You're never going to make any friends like this. And, okay, granted, I don't really have a lot of friends in real life, but I have some of the best online friends, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. So, but a couple of years ago, I didn't have online friends. I didn't have real life friends. I didn't have friends. And I started to change the way I think. I started affirming to myself, I'm the kind of person that people want to be friends with. I'm the kind of so I started saying things differently and trying to change my beliefs. Okay, that's essentially what I'm trying to say. And I feel like this anime, and that's not the only belief I was trying to change. Obviously, I had a couple of that I had to reaffirm, and you kind of got to act in a way that as if you already believe that, because then you'll start believing it more. You can tell yourself, I can do it, but unless you try, your body won't really believe it. So you gotta show your body that you want to believe it, and then eventually you do believe it, and then things just work out. I can put that so much better, but for now that's where I'm gonna leave it. Anyway, so I've been doing this for years, and it feels like this anime finally it came into my life at this point, and it's telling me, you made it. you believe it. This is your reality now. You're actually making the impossible come true. Stuff that you thought 6 years ago, you couldn't even imagine this. You just knew that you wanted something different, and then you started affirming. I affirmed arbitrary things like that. I do what I love, and I love what I do. I didn't even know what I wanted to do 6 years ago, but I used affirmations like this because I knew, even though everyone always complains about their job, I didn't want to be that person. So I kept affirming, I do what I love, and I love what I do. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm doing it, and I affirmed it, and right now I'm doing that. I'm doing exactly, I could never imagine doing anything else other than what I'm doing right now. I'm so happy, and I want to keep doing that. And that's a belief that I had to change about myself. I had to believe that you can have a job that you love. You can, work hard, but be happy about it, and not work just to get to your holiday. Like most people, like they just work through the week because they want to get to the weekend, and I didn't want that. And now I work every single day of the week. I wake up and I start working. I work all throughout the day. I plan tomorrow's stuff already. Like I work all the time. I don't take days off, like unless it's a must, like someone's birthday, someone very close, like family. And even then I try and get some work done, anyway, so what I'm trying to say is I'm doing what I love, and I'm loving what I do, and it's an example of how I have really changed my beliefs. And that's why this anime is like, that's what I've learned from this anime, is that you're on the right track. Like these kinds of beliefs that you have, they're not selfish to have. They're not stupid to have. It's not stupid to believe in these things. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank God I didn't have the words, and there it came. It's not stupid to believe in your dreams. It's not stupid to believe that affirming something can make it true. Because that's what Luffy is doing. It hasn't even been proven to me yet, but I know it's gonna happen. And yeah, I guess that's what I learned from the anime. It's okay that I've been doing what I've been doing for these last 6 years. It's okay that I've actually gone for my dreams, and that I'm making them come true, and I'm allowed to do these things, and I'm allowed to have fun doing them. Because that's what they're doing. And I guess that's what I've learned from Luffy and them. Feel free to share in the comments what you've learned from them, but I think for most of you that might be a little bit hard, because you'll probably take into account things that will happen in the future, so try and not do that. But I do encourage you to share your thoughts and your feelings. But I am a little bit worried about being spoiled, but don't worry, I generally only read the top comments, so and also my mods are there to help me to delete any spoilery things, so yeah. Don't worry too much about, like, is this spoiler, isn't it? But, when in doubt, don't. But my mods are also there, so we're good. The reason I'm saying that is because I know some people, like, they really don't mean to spoil, but they get so excited that they do. I'm just saying, for those people, at least my mods are there, and thank you to my mods. That's enough from me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for your patience. I took some extra time with this video because I didn't want to rush it, and I think it really paid off. So I hope you guys are happy with it. I'm really happy with it. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good weekend. See you next time. Bye.